Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV Reviews Connection of Mind, and welcome back to another installment in my review and reaction series to each and every episode of Season 3 of The Orville New Horizons. If you've never seen one of my review and reaction episodes before, this is where I give my brief overview of the latest episode of whichever series I had to be reviewing at the time, what I thought worked and didn't work, my likes and dislikes about that episode, as well as some analysis as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Just to get this out of the way, this will be a full spoiler review and reaction to the latest episode of The Orville New Horizons, so if you've not seen this latest episode yet, you might want to come back when you have, because this will be full-on spoilers from here on out. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into The Orville New Horizons, Season 3, Episode 8, entitled Midnight Blue. Now, I'm gonna, I always say, it's gonna be a brief overview, but I'm actually gonna try to make it even briefer than I normally would, just because this is a feature-length episode that we got this time. It's an hour and 27 minutes, so here we go. Basically, the main inciting incident of this whole episode is not geopolitical, but galaxy political, I guess you would say. Conflict going on right now is there's by the treaty mandate between the Union and the Moclans, there is a yearly inspection ongoing for the colony of female Moclans that was established by Havina from her previous episodes in this nebula, and the treaty requires that a Moclan team and a Union team are to inspect at the same time and make sure the tree's being abided, all that fun stuff. And the Union decided, Kelly and Bortus are going to be the Union team tasked with being the Union side of this treaty inspection. However, Kelly says that because Topa is showing signs that she really needs to be around more, female role models and have help, dealing with, girl issues and also, kid growing up issues with these other things, that they should bring Topa along on this expedition so that she can meet some other female Moclans and, kind spend quality time with Bortus and all that. So she gets to tag along as part of this the survey team. Once they get to the survey team, the planet, there's already trouble going on because the Moclan team is, they're pushing the limits of, like, you're following the dictates just barely. They're making no secret that they don't like being there. They don't like, being around all these female Moclans, and, that's no secret. They get to, Topa gets to meet Havina, and it seems like a nice little time. They're having a nice time. They stay overnight, well, not overnight, but to the night where they have a meal, and I guess there's these, fancy alien fireflies that are multicolored that are going on, and they're kind of really pretty. And, Topa says, oh yeah, I'm gonna wander over and we'll look at these firefly things. And Havina, goes up to talk to Topa while they're, just off to the edge of the camp. And basically what she says is like, okay, if she actually recruits Topa to be part of this Underground Railroad, because, if you recall, from Season 2's episode, the terms of this, compromise that, okay, this colony gets to still exist, but we're going to shut down the Underground Railroad of, female Moclans being smuggled from Moclans to this colony, while they've restarted the pipeline back up in secret, and they want to use Topa as a link in the chain. Topa obviously agrees because she, worships Havina for all the things that, she said at the tribunal, and also, being a awesome female Moclan and all that. And she says, all right, so all you need to do is, memorize this info of the contact and these frequencies, which, right off the bat, that seems like a bad idea to entrust that to a child, but they address that later on, because I feel like the obvious thing happens is, Topa wanders off because there's this particular blue firefly that is, supposed to bring good fortune or whatever, and she wanders too far away from camp, and the Moclans survey team, they kidnap her and sabotage the Orville shuttle, and then they start flying off. Kelly and Bortus go in hot pursuit when the Orville shows up to the planet to investigate what's going on. In itself, a treaty violation because the Union ships aren't supposed to be there at all. When Ed gets wind of what Havina was doing, he's obviously rightly annoyed that she recruited Topa to be part of this, but also obviously concerned for Topa's safety. When they consult the Union, they basically say, all right, really the only way that we can get around doing this and try to preserve the alliance with the Moclans is, Havina, you're going to have to confess. We're going to have to basically say out in the open with all these witnesses, like, yes, Topa's been kidnapped, here's the evidence, and we need a formal basically subpoena for these three people, these three Moclans who are on the survey team to show up, and we can begin the investigation, basically confront them with that. Havina is rightfully like, no, I don't want to do this because if I confess, then they're going to shut down the pipeline again, and once they know they broke the treaty, they're going to come back in and arrest all of us and kill all of us, essentially. And so there seemed to be an impasse. However, when Ed is able to bring Havina around to testifying in a rather unique way, I think. He summons Havina, basically saying, come to the simulator at this time, and she opens the door. They're in a log cabin setting, and at first, I thought it was going to be, a reproduction of like Harriet Tubman or something, because they both have the Underground Railroad thing in common with them, and she can learn some things from that. But no. If you recall, the anthem of the female Moclan resistance is none other than 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, and Dolly Parton is seen as this great hero, and none other than Dolly Parton herself shows up in this simulation, and which I was not expecting, but makes total sense when it actually happens. So that was a pleasant surprise, and so that they have a nice little moment together in the simulator, Havina and holographic Dolly Parton, and so Ed and Havina and the Orville zip to Earth to testify in front of the Union Council for this. Meanwhile, Kelly and Bortus track Topa's kidnappers to this secret military facility that is not supposed to exist in a supposedly uninhabited system. We see that Topa is, brought into there's no sugarcoating, it's a torture chamber with a torturer who says, I need this information, and he's torturing Topa for this information. Bortus and Kelly managed to infiltrate the facility and rescue Topa, and obviously Bortus is fuming at this point with furious anger, and takes out his anger on the torturer in a kind of gruesome way, actually. But no, not to say it wasn't fitting for what it was. And Bortus, Kelly, and Topa rendezvous with the Orville in Earth and bring this battered and bloody Topa into the council chamber, where the Moclan representatives already, raising a holy huff about, like, oh, this is a treaty violation, our rights have been violated, gotta prosecute Havina to the full extent of the law, and then, they come, Topa and Bortus Kelly come into the room. It's like, no, you did this. You are all liars and monsters, and you need to answer for this. And the episode ends with two big events. One, the Union unanimously votes to expel Moclans from the Union. So they're obviously dealing with the fallout on that. That'll be later on in the season, I'm sure, even though we have, I believe, 2 episodes left. So it might not show its full force by season end. And secondly, once Topa is healing in sickbay, she gets a visitor, and that happens to be Clyden, who he has a chance to talk with Topa, and in a heartfelt confession, he basically says, no, I heard what would happen to you. I came on the first transport out here, and they have the reconciliation of I was wrong and all this stuff. So they are now well on their way to patching things up as a family. They've renounced Boris and Clyde have renounced their Moclan citizenship, and the episode ends with a heartwarming scene where they're at dinner, and Kelly and Clyden come face to face, and Clyden is the one to extend the dinner invitation to Kelly, and then they share a meal as the Orville flies off in out of Earth orbit. So again, I kind of glossed over a bunch of stuff, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in this feature-length episode, and again, this episode does a good job of managing ratcheting up the stakes. I guess it's not that we're in any doubt as to the eventual outcome as far as the safety of Topa. They're not going to kill Topa, as far as I know. Like, that was fairly obvious that was not on the table going into this. So they do a good job with that, and honestly, I like the fact, like I said, I loved the surprise Dolly Parton. I did not see that coming. However, I think it was a little on the nose that this is the first time we've seen Havina since, I believe, midway through Season 2, and of course it's been several years since Season 2 came out, and we're reintroduced to the character, essentially, or at least in a live form. We saw her in a holographic form a few episodes ago, and I think it's a little on the nose that she was, playing 9 to 5 randomly on the radio, and she's like, oh, listening to the music of Dolly Parton helps me think during these troubling times. Like, yeah, okay, that's her. She just really wanted, we associate 9 to 5 with the character, so that's why you played it. I thought that was a little somewhat heavy-handed on the character level, but again, I can give it a pass because A, it's a good song, but that it doesn't last long. And like I said, this conflict was building up for a long time, and I feel like the payoff for the eventual outcome being Moclans being expelled from the Union was earned by this point. We've had several episodes up to this point dealing with this Moclan cultural divide that they have with the Union, and I mean, obviously it was unsustainable that they were going to keep the status quo, especially the way they showed it throughout the rest of the earlier parts of the series. So that felt earned to me. I think they did a really good job on that. What I can't necessarily forgive is the fact that this whole chain of events, while necessary to the overall health progression of the events in the series, was kicked off by Kelly essentially. She calls it on herself that it was. In the moment, it's like, oh, it's my fault. I shouldn't have shouldn't have asked Topa to come with me. You had doubts that I forced you into it, and obviously Bortus is like, no, I don't blame you for this. It's like, yeah, it kind of is Kelly's fault. It's like, as a Union officer, I feel like you would have known that bringing a female Moclan to which already this child has been the subject of several high-profile cases. With the Moclan Society and the Union, so very publicized child on our hands on one level. And the second level, the treaty very specifically stipulates that no new females would be traveling to female Moclans would be traveling to this sanctuary. And Admiral Halsey even says right before in that briefing that was the term of the treaty. And she still thinks it's a great idea to bring this kid on to a treaty-sensitive mission where diplomatic ties were going to be strained at best. And she decided to she thought throwing gasoline on the fire was going to be a great idea. At no point did it seem like, oh yeah, this is going to be a great idea. And it's like, yes, obviously. I mean, on the one level, it's like, all right, you gotta rub their noses into it a bit, but again, not a smart move. And she even said, it's like, oh, if the captain says it's okay to go, then go. How did Ed not see any of this as a potential catastrophe waiting to happen? So, again, this whole chain of events, like I said, it rests on that one instant where everyone was being stupid. So, like I said, I can't necessarily forgive that instance, but overall, yeah, I think there were more strengths than weaknesses in this episode, and I think it pretty much absolves the good outweighs the bad by the end. We'll just put it that way. So, some things that I noticed that you may have seen before, and there's only a couple things. One is, we've seen the child abduction thing and the parents trying to capture it, but the fact that this is a high-profile child with political leanings, and there's a child torture to gain information from it. It made me think of recent hit Obi-Wan Kenobi with Leia being kidnapped in order to. I mean, in both cases, the child was abducted in order to gain information and flush out a traitor to the government in that series, whether it's the Empire kidnapping Leia in order to flush out Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Topa being kidnapped to flush out the traitor at the end of this communication, this Underground Railroad pipeline. So, yeah, and of course, dramatic rescue in heroic fashion in both cases. So there's that comparison. And of course, there's the comparison to be made, of course, when Kelly and Bortus have rescued Topa and they take off and they're being pursued, and they're going through this canyon chase with being pursued by these fighters, blasters going off everywhere. There's obviously the comparison being made for Independence Day, the canyon chase in that, but which, side notes, I kind of like the fact that during that whole scene, there was a bit of a Star Wars prequels-esque score going on there, and I really dug it. But really, you could also point to this is very much a very similar scene to 4 episodes ago when Ed and the President and all that were being rescued off Krill. And they're on the speeder car, and they're being chased through these streets of the Krill capital. So interesting comparison. I mean, I like a good hover car chase or whatever, but it did seem a lot that we get 2 very similar scenes like that in the same season. So I don't know. Maybe put that plot point to rest for a few more episodes before you do it again, and maybe wait till next season before you pull that one out of the hat. So, like I said, those are my main points of comparison with this episode and what came before. But what did you think of this latest episode of the Orville New Horizons? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next TV review, which will be for, I believe, She-Hulk, which comes out in next month, as well as my next movie review, which will be for Bullet Train, which comes out August 5th. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.